So Dynamite is tonight, and it's currently 9:30 at night, and there's 2 matches announced. What are we doing? But yeah, there's only 2 matches announced. We'll talk about them. They are both pretty big matches, but we'll also predict what else we see from the night. But yeah, wait till all night, so it's a bit later. But yeah, let's get into it. So, our first match to talk about is going to be the opener of the night. They've confirmed it will be the opener. We have our AEW Men's World Champion MJF versus Mark Briscoe following the Forbidden Door match, the Steel Cage. The question is does Max win and retain here? Because he got pretty beaten up in that match. He was basically left for dead. Briscoe obviously won. He's going to feel on a high. And you know Briscoe's going to make MJF hurt. And we hurt people. So, I don't know. I feel like we're definitely in a situation here. The obvious comparison is the Derby one. Obviously, where Derby won a couple months ago. And, you know, that was after a pay-per-view. And he just had the short reign. And it was unexpected. I don't think the same happens. I think it's too similar for it to happen. I love Mark Briscoe, but I just don't think it's on. I think we're going to get some sort of interference. I don't think that it's going to diminish Mark like that. I don't know if it's going to be because of Andrade. Obviously, that's a loose end. I don't know if it's going to be due to some other type of interference. I don't know if the Don Callis family is going to interfere, whatever. I feel like I just don't think Briscoe's winning. I don't. I just feel like, because I've got my opinions on what's going to happen from now to All In. Obviously, I don't think they're going to, I don't think this is the time you switch the title if you're going to do it. I just feel like I feel like it's going to be some sort of wacky hijinks. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a long-ass match. Like, I'm talking half an hour. And I just don't think Briscoe takes it. I love Mark Briscoe, again, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think he's the one to take this one all the way home. Reach for the sky, boy. But I feel like, in general, I think this will be a good match. I always like Miss Briscoe and MJF. I think Briscoe's just going to give us all. Obviously, I want to know how it goes. I really want to know what the answer is. The obvious call is Andrade, but you could not write off, obviously, a few things. Like, again, the Don Callis family. You couldn't even write off the Hate Syndicate, to be honest. Even, I was going to say Ospreay, but that's a whole different thing. I don't think Ospreay's going to be the one involved in this match. I just feel like we're going to get some bullshit. I do think Max retains. I think the match will be great, don't get me wrong. But I feel like the whole thing here I feel like it's going to definitely be something that's going to lead for what Briscoe does down the road. Because I feel like, obviously, now with Max, we're clearly setting up the Andrade stuff. That's clearly the way. And I feel like Andrade being involved makes sense. Don't get me wrong, if Briscoe, it's not out the question that Briscoe wins here. It's not out the question that Briscoe wins via, like, you know, a roll-up and then, you know, some bullshit happens. But I just think here, with the long-term plan we're doing, especially with Andrade, and then, obviously, with Max himself, it just feels like, I think this is, for me, I think Max and Andrade is what you're doing long-term, a bit more drawn out. It's been going on for a while. Why stop here? I feel like we're going to build this out till at least All In. I just feel like Briscoe winning the belt kind of does nothing because it kind of diminishes his stuff. So, I don't know. But, either way, I feel like here, I just feel like Max takes the win. I think that's pretty obvious. I think everyone's going to kind of be like, oh, it's too similar to the Derby thing. But whatever, I do think Max wins. And we'll talk about what else I think will happen in the show after we talk about our next match. So, our next match we're going to talk about is our only other match confirmed so far. We have our TBS title, Survival of the Fittest. Obviously, the matches we've been getting the qualifiers for, and obviously since Willow Nightingale vacated the belt. Now, the contestants we have are Maika, obviously beating Sky Blue Forbidden Door. We have CMLL Women's Champion Persephone, which is pretty cool. Hikaru Shida, Kris Statlander, Harley Cameron, which was a bit of a mad one. And and Queen Aminata. Now, all 6 of these women could win. I think it's a very hard call. I think your brain says Aminata. I think Aminata is the one that benefits the most from this. I do. But I feel like I just don't think they're going to do Aminata. I just don't. I would love them to. Whoever they do, I'm going to be happy with. Besides Harley, I just don't think Harley's the girl for it. But I just think Queen Aminata, I think she's been just not there enough. Her winning the belt would be cool. I just feel like they're going to build something a bit further. And the obvious story you do with Aminata is against Tekla, really. So that's what I'm thinking. But I think the winner here, it's hard. The main 2 I'm going back and forth in my little brain. is I think Statlander's really on like top for it. Even Shida, I think Shida could win it. I think Shida could definitely win it. I think it could be between those two massively. But I would love Persephone to win it. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Persephone. Tony Khan's being very notably a big fan of Persephone too. If Persephone holding that AEW belt would be cool because she's great. We can get more Persephone on screen. You can even defend that in CMLL, make that a whole thing. But I think for me, the two I'm flickering between is Stat and Shida. I just think they both had the strongest stories going on. It elevates them a bit more. I think Shida can do whatever she wants. I think Shida's definitely got the... I think out of all of them, even though I love Aminata, I love most of the women here, but I think out of all of them, the one that makes it most interesting is Shida. I do. I think Shida makes this... If she wins the belt, the most interesting run. I feel like the heel antics, you could obviously build the stuff with Stat. You could build the stuff with Mina, because Mina Shirakawa is very unlucky not to be in this, even with Harley. I think the more I think about it, I think it's going to be Shida. I do. I think Shida's going to win this. I think Shida deserves it. I think most of them deserve it, obviously. But I just think Shida's the one that I think... It just makes sense to me. I feel like you look at the work Shida's done, it's been nothing but great. And you've got instant title defenses already lined up, really, with Shida. And she's a heel. AEW loves their heel champions. Statlander, I think, because they're teasing the stuff with Willow, I feel like if you've done this with Stat now, if you give Stat the belt, she'd be able to win it. And then you can kind of build Stat and Willow again when they come back. But I feel like... you don't know how long Willow's going to be out for, so I feel like if you do Stat and Shida, if you do Shida to win the belt, you can have Shida a bit further going, have a few reigns against Mina, against Harley, all these other people she's had beef with, even like other people like Windsor, like Jamie Hayter, most of the women in the roster, and then you can kind of build her and Stat, because obviously that's a feud that's going to be quite big, and then you can have Stat, that just... The one I see with the more foresight is Shida. I'm going to predict Shida. However, if the obvious call is Aminata, wouldn't be against that. I think Aminata deserves it. She's so good. She's the one to be elevated the most by it. I just think it's definitely... I think my pick's going to be Hikaru Shida. I just think that makes sense for me. And just the run she's on, I think the one who's got the most potential there. For me, I see the most mileage. Maika winning it would be cool. Harley Cameron winning it would be a nice moment, but I just don't think that works. We already had that moment with the tag belts. I just don't think this is it yet, especially how it's presented over the win. Unless you just have it on and then have it lose it in a day. You know what I mean? So... Either way, I just think Shida will win it. I think we'll obviously get down. The final two will be Stat and Shida. I feel like that makes sense. But either way, I think the match will be great. I cannot wait for this, and I hope whoever wins it. I'm honestly, I don't want to say I don't care. I'm happy whoever wins it. Aminata, obviously, as everyone's gunning for, would be great. But for me, I think you got to give it to Shida. I think that's the most mileage, and you could give a bit more stuff for Aminata to do, because I've missed her terribly. She's really good. But yeah, for me, Shida wins it. Yeah, that's our two matches confirmed tonight. Obviously, what else we're going to predict is a lot of the fallout from Forbidden Door. Now, I think the big thing we want to see here is Jay White. I think that's a big one. Jay White and the Bang Bang Gang kind of setting their motive. Stuff with the dogs, that makes sense. I feel like that's the one that makes sense for tonight, because you got that ties in with the tag titles, obviously with Cage and Cope. You could obviously work the Bucks in there with that stuff. Obviously, they won their match on Forbidden Door. You've got the whole stuff with Jay White and the Bang Bang Gang and the whole tension with Christian. I feel like that's a no-brainer. Obviously, Andrade, I think that's a big thing. You got to have the follow-up for there. Ospreay and Mercedes both winning the Owen. I think they've got to be here too. I think on a big important thing, and I think this will happen, I think we got to have a Maya World match or a Hyann and Maya World match. I think you just got to do something with them. Just keep them there. Just keep them around. Just put them on this Dynamite, or even Collision, but this Dynamite, you got to keep them there. The Don Callis stuff, obviously, following Andrade, the conglomeration. I feel like you just got to do a lot of follow-up. Tekla, obviously, huge. I think you just got a lot to do. You got a lot to do here. Death Riders, I expect that very promo-heavy Dynamite tonight. I do. The other matches I expect to see, I'm going to ask for El Clon. I love him. But I'm expecting Jake, like, a lot of the people are probably going to be banged up from Forbidden Door, especially in that steel cage match. I hope we get one thing. I hope we get a bit more foresight of what we're doing with a lot of people that lost, mainly Swerve and Bandido, even Brody King. Give me a Brody King match tonight. That feels like a good idea, because he didn't have a match on Forbidden Door. That makes sense. But we could do a bunch of stuff. The tag titles, I think you got to kind of set up what we're doing there with the tags, the dogs, obviously. I think we got a lot of stuff But, however, there is a whole thing with Collision is on a Thursday. Why? Why do that? For me, I'm very tired. Yeah, for me, Collision's on Thursday. It will be a double tape, and I assume tonight. So, either way, a lot of stuff I assume is going to be announced for tomorrow, for later on, for Collision. So, I feel like we'll get a lot of stuff, you know, bleeding over. I assume, I don't want to say we'll get a TNT title match because Kevin, like, literally died. But, you know, obviously some stuff. I'm not expecting Darby to be in the cards. You know, the regular shit. But either way, the big thing I want to see is obviously reaction for Forbidden Door. The main one's Jay White, obviously. But I would really like to see a match with Brody King this week. And just give me a bit more. I want to know what's going on with Swerve. I think that's huge. I think we need to know what's going on with Swerve going forward. For me, that feels like a bit of a no-brainer. But also Kenny. We could probably get our Kenny little promo here, which obviously him and Ospreay. I think him and Ospreay will have another backstage segment after the Forbidden Door match. I feel like that makes the most sense. But yeah, a lot of fallout from Forbidden Door. I feel like that makes a lot of sense in the world. But yeah, I can't wait for this Dynamite. It's so unexpected. It's not a lot confirmed. Obviously, that's what makes it very interesting. So yeah, that's my preview and predictions for AEW Dynamite tonight, with 2 matches confirmed and nothing else. So thanks, Tony. Thanks a lot. But let me know what you think of the card tonight. What do you think will happen, and what are you looking forward to the most following Forbidden Door's whole event? Probably Jay White. Probably.